There are points in time that the world will forever remember. Yet there are also events just as vivid, just as chilling, that are seldom spoken of. During the First World War, countless strange events unraveled beneath the roar of cannon fire and the shroud of battle. From unexplained fatalities and unidentified photographs to ships that disappeared into the vast seas, never to be seen again. These are the forgotten mysteries hidden deep within the conflict. In today's video, we'll uncover the secrets that remained in the shadow of World War I. So buckle up as we journey into today's enigma. And remember, you might stumble upon extraordinary fortune if you like and subscribe before the video concludes. Who actually fired the first shot? It's a question that has echoed across more than 100 years. Who truly fired the very first shot representing the British Empire? Historians often reference July 29, 1914, when a shot from the Austro-Hungarian warship Bodrog along the Danube River initiated a series of events that would entangle Europe in war. But for Britain, the timing and the identity of the individual who pulled the trigger remained blurred and contested. On August 22, 1914, Sergeant E. Thomas, a cavalry bugler, fired at 4 German horsemen. No casualties resulted, yet this shot is often marked as the first fired by Britain on European soil. Still, another version offers a different answer. 10 days prior, in Togoland, West Africa, a native soldier named Alhaji Grunchi, serving under British command, opened fire on a German unit guarding a wireless station. It wasn't in Europe, but it was nonetheless fired under the British Crown's name. Other accounts point to August 5, 1914, just one day after Britain declared war on Germany, when coastal artillery at Port Phillip, south of Melbourne, fired a warning shot at the German freighter SS Pfalz as it tried to escape the harbor. The shot didn't strike the vessel but forced it to return, leading to the first enemy ship captured during the war. So the question remains, who truly fired the British Empire's first shot? Who truly downed the Red Baron? In an age where planes were fragile creations of fabric and wood, each aerial clash was a fight to the death. Manfred von Richthofen, immortalized as the Red Baron, became a legendary figure of the skies. Throughout the First World War, he emerged as an ace pilot, shooting down around 80 enemy aircraft, striking terror and admiration across the European theaters. On April 21, 1918, during one of the war's fiercest phases, the Red Baron led his squadron into an airfight above France, clashing with British and Canadian aviators. In a critical moment, he chased after Canadian rookie pilot Lieutenant Wilfrid May. This pursuit caught the attention of Canadian squadron leader Captain Arthur Roy Brown, who turned sharply to aid his ally. However, in his fervor, the Red Baron made a deadly misstep. He flew too far behind enemy lines, where ground fire awaited. Caught between enemy aircraft and Australian infantry fire from the ground, his bright red plane became an easy mark. A single bullet from an unknown source struck his chest, fatally damaging his heart and lungs. Despite his mortal wound, he safely landed his plane near the French village of Sailly-le-Sec. By the time Australian troops reached him, he had already succumbed. No one could say for certain who had fired the fatal shot. For over 100 years, theories have abounded, from Captain Arthur Brown, credited officially, to Australian machine gunners shooting from below. Even Brown himself, honored for the kill, later admitted uncertainty. Some historians now point towards Sergeant Cedric Popkin of Australia, whose firing angle matches the wound, but no undeniable evidence has ever been found. The phantom crew of the Zabrina. In October 1917, as autumn chills swept the English Channel and war ravaged the shores, a small vessel named Zabrina sailed from Falmouth, Cornwall, destined for Saint-Brieuc, carrying coal and a crew whose names remain mostly unknown. Yet Zabrina never arrived. 2 days later, French authorities found the ship stranded at Rosal Point, south of Cherbourg. Curiously, there was no sign of anyone aboard. The hull bore no damage, ruling out an attack. Even the lifeboat remained secured. Inside, the cooking stove still faintly burned and meals were neatly set for 5, yet not a single soul remained. For more than a century, historians, sailors, and paranormal investigators have tried to piece together the mystery. Some proposed a storm may have swept the crew overboard while securing cargo. But with no storm damage and the lifeboat untouched, that theory faltered. Another suggestion was capture by a German submarine. During that time, German U-boats prowled heavily through the channel. If Zabrina crossed paths with one, perhaps her crew were taken or eliminated to keep a secret hidden. But a lesser-known theory surfaced after the war. Official records indicated Zabrina wasn't manned by 5 sailors that day. It had 23 aboard. An unusual number for such a vessel, hinting it might have been a Q ship, a British trap designed to lure submarines. If so, Zabrina may have been exposed and her crew silenced before any chance of resistance. Whether due to accident, deceit, or forces we can't explain, the fate of Zabrina remains unsolved. Béla Kiss, the murderer in hiding. In a village called Sincota near Budapest lived a quiet man named Béla Kiss, a tinsmith by trade. He was known as polite and reserved, a face among many who went to fight in World War I. But no one realized the horrors he had concealed. In 1914, Kiss left for war, locking his house and departing without suspicion. By 1916, rumors said he had died at the front. The landlord, assuming the property was abandoned, began preparations to rent it anew. Inside, however, a nightmare waited. 7 large metal drums, sealed tight like fuel containers, were found. Upon opening one, not gasoline, but the unmistakable stench of death filled the air. Inside was the strangled body of a woman preserved in alcohol. Police combed the house, ultimately discovering 24 corpses, all women, stored in similar barrels. Even more chilling, Béla Kiss was alive. By the time authorities identified him, he was recovering from battle wounds in a hospital. Before police could capture him, he assumed a dead soldier's identity and vanished. Over the years, alleged sightings trickled in, from Hungary to France to even New York City. At one point, he was suspected of working as a janitor. But each time investigators drew close, he disappeared once again. No one knows how long Kiss survived or if he continued killing. The chilling thought lingers. Perhaps he lived out his days quietly, hiding within the very society he once terrorized. USS Cyclops, the giant that disappeared. It was massive, over 500 feet long, a steel giant gliding across the Atlantic, part of the United States Navy's arsenal during World War I's final years. Her name was USS Cyclops, classified as a coal carrier, but with robust design and heavy weaponry, resembling a floating fortress more than a transport. Yet despite its imposing figure, the Cyclops became the heart of one of America's greatest maritime mysteries. On February 15, 1918, Cyclops left Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, loaded with manganese ore with 309 people aboard. Bound for Baltimore, she stopped unexpectedly in Barbados for engine repairs. Days later, she departed and vanished without a trace. An immense search followed, yet no debris, no wreckage, and no survivors were found. Speculation grew. Was the ship overloaded? Did the engines explode? Was it caught in a sudden storm? Whispers began about the Bermuda Triangle, that legendary patch of sea that seemed to devour vessels and planes. Others suspected sabotage by German spies. Still, some drifted into wild theories of extraterrestrials or sea monsters beyond human understanding. Whatever the truth, the outcome remained. 309 souls left port aboard the Navy's grandest ship, and not one ever returned. John Parr, the first fallen and a hidden truth. His name was John Parr. At just 14, he walked into a recruiting office in 1912, underweight and boyish. He lied, claiming he was 18, desperate to wear the khaki uniform of the British Army. 2 years later, John found himself among the first soldiers at the Belgian front, where the fields near Mons would witness Britain's first battle. Armed with a rifle, a bicycle, and youthful dreams, John believed he would become a man through war. On August 21, 1914, while scouting north of Mons, he never returned. Some said he was ambushed, others believed he was shot while retreating. Yet no official record noted an encounter, and no German reports confirmed one either. Later, researchers proposed a grimmer theory, that John may have been killed by friendly fire, mistaken for the enemy in the war's early chaos. He was buried in an unmarked grave outside Mons. Thrown in a cruel twist, across from John's resting place lies the grave of George Edwin Ellison, the last British soldier to die in World War I. John's mother wrote desperate letters seeking answers, but none ever fully explained her son's death. She lived out her days knowing only that her boy had died, but never why. You might not accept every detail you've heard today. Maybe you believe war should remain buried, untouched by memory. But if even one story made you pause, share your thoughts below. and don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss our next tale. Until then, we'll see you in the next video.